Impulse is an upcoming fast-paced 6v6 movement shooter launching in early access in 2026. And the hard truth that these developers are going to have to swallow is that the negative stigma surrounding their previously released title is going to come back to haunt them. This game is essentially Titanfall, the wall running, the grapple hooks, the actual mech mechanics. It's all PvP, and it's something that the gaming community has been asking for many years now. But the big caveat here, it's being developed by 1047 Games. If you guys don't know who that is, it's the guys behind Splitgate and the Make FPS Great Again movement. Now, what's interesting to me is last year at Summer Games Fest, the CEO walked out onto the stage. It was a controversial, hotly contested topic where he wore the Make FPS Great Again hat. But he also said this.
Because I grew up playing Halo, and I'm tired of playing the same Call of Duty every year. And I wish we could have Titanfall 3.
And now, obviously, as we know, they were actually developing a game that is harkening back to the days of Titanfall. Now, here's what I will say. I'm not a big fan of the art style. A lot of people are equating it to like a Mirror's Edge or like a little bit of a Finals vibe. It reminds me as if you were to take like the Finals and like fuck X Defiant, and then you just spit out this kind of visual style. I was a huge fan of Titanfall back in the day, but I also love that gritty military vibe that the game had. This one reminds me a lot of Splitgate, but with mechs and not portals. And I hope that that's not what this game turns into, because I think a Titanfall spiritual successor, look, if EA isn't going to give us that game, we might as well look to the indies. And I say indie, but like 1047 Games also a few years ago got $100 million investment. And I'm guessing that they're making now multiple games. We had Splitgate, which released last year, Splitgate 2, which came out, went into beta, released, then went back into beta, then they rebranded. Now it's called Splitgate Arena Reloaded, and I just don't think anybody really cares about that. But the thing is from what I can gather, 1047 Games business model is let's create a bunch of different experiences that we want to see back in the space. So Splitgate was obviously the Halo, but like with a little twist. Impulse looks to be that Titanfall, but with a little twist. And I'm actually not mad at that business model. They're making games that they clearly want to see return. It's just a matter of, is this going to be another Splitgate situation where it launches too early and then you have to like pull it back into beta? They've been slowly rolling out and chatting more with the community over on Twitter. Somebody responded or retweeted their announcement tweet and they said, this might be the one. Play Impulse responded and they said, spoiler alert, it is. And I had to jump in. I said, what, $120 skins in the store or what? Because if you guys remember, Splitgate 2 launched with an insane fucking store page with a bunch of overpriced cosmetics. Then they came out and said that they had hired somebody from the AAA space. I believe the person worked on Call of Duty and that things got misconstrued and prices were off. It was a fucking shit show. But their response to this, they actually responded to the meme. They said there are no plans to monetize the game during early access apart from purchasing the game itself. And I gotta respect it. If that stays true, that's actually really cool. I respect it. Now, if you guys are in the Discord, you've probably seen the announcement. I am going to be streaming all throughout the weekend. It's Summer Glaze Fest 2026, where the industry likes to glaze each other and we just sit back, relax, and watch the show together. We're going to be doing a bunch of giveaways. We're in Discord. We're going to be live pretty much all weekend with Twitch, YouTube, and then the post shows are going to be exclusive on the Patreon. But according to Impulse, you can tune into the PC Gaming Show on Sunday for the worldwide Impulse gameplay reveal. So we're going to be seeing more in less than a week's time. And this is something that I'm actually kind of keeping my eyes on. I like the idea. I can get over the art style. What I can't get over is, are we going to see the same mistakes that you guys just made literally like 6 months ago with Splitgate 2? What did we take from that situation and how did you learn from it? I just gave a scroll through the recent AMA they did over on Reddit, and there's a lot of really interesting information there. Apparently, the gunplay is going to be hip fire similar to Splitgate and Halo, but with a slightly faster time to kill. Apparently, they experimented with ADS gameplay, but found that it just felt a lot better to be able to point and click. A lot of people are, talking about the fact that they want ADS there. We're going to see if the community feedback is going to eventually make it to the game. A user asked if the game is going to be floaty like Splitgate or more like Apex and Titanfall 2, and apparently it's normal gravity this time around, so it's a lot heavier than Splitgate. You have more movement control in the air, including a jetpack, but the game is apparently a lot less floaty. In the cinematic teaser that we got that you guys have been seeing throughout this video, you see the player throw a bomb on the ground, and this is what they're calling their paint bombs. And there's essentially a few different versions of them. One boosts your speed, one boosts your health, one lets you jump really high. And so apparently you can actually chain together moves where you're wall running, you throw a paint bomb onto the wall in front of you, then you can use that to basically essentially double bounce off the wall. And so they're taking that over the top idea from Titanfall and they're tweaking it and they're bringing in new mechanics, which I actually don't mind. And obviously the comparisons are being made to Apex and Titanfall 2, and according to 1047 Games, the game feels very similar to Titanfall 2, but with some intentional tweaks. Their example, you can wall run backwards in the game, which leads to some super sick plays once you get and learn the maps. Their grapple is apparently a little bit easier to round corners with, and the maps are obviously built around that. The game is being built in Unreal Engine 5, but according to them, a ton of optimization has already gone into the game to go into early access, and it already runs better than Splitgate did, and we'll see about that. Now, I did mention the game is going to be paid at launch with no microtransactions. They're not talking about the price yet, but they said they're going to have more information on pricing soon. Maybe we'll hear that at Summer Games Fest this weekend. But for now, they can confirm that Impulse will be less than $30 USD. This is one of those things that I'm really curious to get your guys' opinions on, because as somebody who eventually wants to tackle a multiplayer game, how do you feel about monetizing the game up front? No monetization during the early access, and then probably, I'm guessing, there's going to be skins and battle passes once the game goes to 1.0. Are you okay paying up front for a multiplayer shooter in 2026, or do you think games like this should be free to play and have those microtransactions in the back end? There's so many different opinions on this, and I want to know yours. Now, the biggest thing that concerns me about this game is the fact that people ask how long has the game been in development. I assumed it was going to be a couple of years, but their answer, Impulse actually started as a couple of prototypes we built in early 2025. And so when I hear that, it kind of confirms my worst fear, is that this game is basically a branch off of Splitgate. It's going to feel similar. They're going to adjust some of the values for speed and the gravity and all of that stuff. But it sounds to me like it's going to be Splitgate coded, and visually it looks very similar to Splitgate. So I want to make sure that this game has its own identity, because I feel like this is the game that people have actually been asking for. And because of the community reception to Splitgate, the launch, the relaunch, the beta, all the bullshit that happened last year, I'm just nervous that they're already setting themselves up for failure, and they really need to get out in front of it. Anyways, outside of all of that information, we kind of just got to wait to see what the gameplay trailer looks like this Sunday at the PC Gaming Show. And look, I know Splitgate was a controversial launch. 1047 Games really isn't batting 100 here, but I'm always down to try new shooters, and especially one that has been, clamored about in the FPS space for years now. These guys might be able to deliver on something. I've never been one to go, your last game sucked, so this one's going to suck too. Obviously, there's pattern recognition, and we have to look at the history, look at what games you've developed in the past. I just fear that people won't give it a chance based on your history and based on how recent that history is. I'm just curious to see how this one's going to play out. And I'm also curious to see if 1047 has learned anything from the launch of Splitgate 2. Let me know what you guys think down below. Are you interested in Impulse? Are you nervous about 1047 Games being at the helm? I want to know your thoughts. Leave a comment while you're down there. Leave a like on the video and subscribe for everything FPS. We are on the cusp of one of the most corporate events that happen in the games industry, and I'm very, very excited to talk about everything good, bad, and ugly in the multiplayer space. So keep tuned here. Come through to the live streams this weekend. We got giveaways, we got bingo cards, and it's going to be a shit show. I appreciate you guys watching. My name is Big Fry. Shout out to the Fry Nation, and I'll see you on the next one.